What's that?
My version of that.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. I'm Lubo. This is Ian. We're back with the 4 cauliflower ears, and we're testing new lighting here, so it might look a little bit weird. We also
New background.
experimented with a new background. The new old background is the cage, but it's the other side of the cage. We're just trying to. We had to temporarily move away from the cage because it was pretty cold.
It's freezing.
Yeah, it was freezing. Down here, it's like just open space, and where we were filming in the garage was kind of like more closed up.
And we had a little heater.
Yeah, so it felt much better. So, but today is not that cold, and we decided to experiment a little bit.
It's a little rainy outside, but
that's why it's probably warm too. You know,
I
like
agree.
it doesn't get in LA. It's not cold when it rains
right,
that badly.
thankfully.
You know? Yeah.
It was chilly this morning, but
yeah.
not. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, nothing a couple of rolls won't fix.
Well, luckily I've got a little shack with a heater in it, so I just get it like a sauna in there. I get it uncomfortable.
You're talking like we live in Milwaukee or something.
It wasn't that cold.
Wisconsin, people making cheese and dying of cold.
I know.
Yeah.
Where I'm from is pretty cold right now, in Delaware.
Delaware, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cold.
You and Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, yeah.
Yeah, we miss
Yeah.
that guy.
Nah, not really.
I mean, I don't. You like it better.
I don't
now.
have ill will for him.
It's a lot more entertaining now. I'll give you that.
Honestly, I try to kind of stay out of politics a little bit, but I did feel inside a little cringe whenever I heard people making fun of him, just because ever since I can remember growing up, he was a prominent figure.
Well, yeah,
in
of course.
Delaware politics. Then he made it all the way there.
Correct.
So
Yeah, he's been around since the late
since
60s.
before I was alive.
Late 60s, I think. Very
Yeah.
very early 70s. He was a senator
He was
already.
original gangster.
Yeah, he was already a senator. Early 70s, I think.
But I would always hear about him, and he was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But then he just blew up. So I always kind of have like a connection to him.
Yeah.
He's my man, regardless.
Right. I mean, nowadays it's kind
He
of.
did do the crime bill, which was kind of
The what?
the crime bill.
What bill was that?
The super predators, like Hillary Clinton. It was kind of racist a little bit when they were going after crime. This
Oh
is
yeah. When the
90s.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes.
It was kind of bad, but I don't think he was doing it.
He locked them up though, right?
What, all the brothers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They ain't going out. They're not white. Only
And like for me-
white people get pardoned.
Hey, that one dude, I was pretty stoked. Leonard Peltier. He was a native dude that was. He's been in jail forever for
Native as in Native American.
Yes, for murdering some FBI agents.
Uh-huh.
And I've just been hearing him. People call for his release for decades. I'm getting old. I've been hearing it forever, and he's old at this point. I think he's in his 80s.
And what were they calling for his release? Was it
Just because
presumed innocent?
I think. Well, there was all kinds of inconsistencies in the case. I've only heard and paid attention to stuff that was coming from the government side.
Yeah.
And they made it seem like he definitely did it. I never really researched the other side, but they said they tend to think that he was kind of railroaded.
It's kind of hard to research those things because the government side is pretty much public knowledge.
Yeah.
And the other side that you're referring to is probably stuff off of the internet.
Anecdotal.
And
Well, this stuff kind of happened, before the
Right. No, I'm not denying that. Of course, I'm not denying stuff like that happened or stuff like weird stuff.
Yeah.
Was covered up and all that stuff. But I'm saying that whenever you research a case like that, and you go to the other side, the side of the criminal who was.
There's not a lot of like documentation.
There's not actually a lot of. So you're not researching the actual case. You're researching opinions of people for the most part because it is the internet, right?
100%.
So that's how people start conspiracy theories. The same way, you know, because you say, oh, there's so much information on the internet about the conspiracy that I'm into right now. The truth is that this is all spread by the same person like you know.
Right.
So it's like, of course, there is data.
That information
that information is just circulating the same.
Best.
It's circulating in the same
ecosystem.
And what an ecosystem that is. That's a great segue to Bryce Mitchell. You got that right.
I wasn't even.
But we're getting better at this shit. Just look, Bryce Mitchell.
You kind of lulled me into that. I kind of feel like I was set up, but I don't feel bad about it. That was kind of smooth.
No.
Oh my goodness.
So I tell you, I'm getting better at this, obviously. If you're out there listening, I'm looking for a job actively. For money. I already got this job. But I'm looking for one for money.
We're working on the buddy comedy, so.
Bro, we're 50 years old. Who the fuck is gonna? I mean, there are people for everything.
What was it? The Odd Couple, the old school with Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, thank God you said Van Dyke. Thank God you said Van Dyke.
Dick Van Dyke and
that pause was like anecdotal.
So I was trying to think of his name. I was like, I know his name was Dick. I was like, Dick. Dude, I went out on a limb. I went out on some faith, and my memory just. That was clutch.
You went out on a what?
Limb.
Limb.
So anyway.
Oh my God!
Because we haven't talked. We texted about this when it happened.
We haven't seen each other in a week.
Right.
We haven't seen each other since.
That Bryce Mitchell stuff was insane.
So you heard the whole podcast, the whole episode?
I didn't watch the whole podcast.
I'm gonna go a little gay and just cover myself up like this.
Be comfortable.
Like European kind
Get comfortable.
Yes, thank you.
I saw it on one of my little MMA Digest, YouTube thing.
Oh, but you didn't see the whole episode then?
No, but...
I was left with an impression you did.
No. Okay. So I heard what Dana said, and they cut a little bit out of the episode. Mm-hmm. But then I listened to this other guy that I listened to, MMA Joey, and he kind of goes into depth with stuff. He does... So he actually watched the whole episode, and he cut out way more of the craziness that Bryce Mitchell was saying. So I was already primed for it because I heard the stuff that Dana White was talking about and the little bit of stuff that the first news organization cut together.
Yeah.
So I got like a little bit up front and then a large swath of it. And enough to get if there was more, I got the gist of what was going on. It was so crazy because he does his podcast with another dude.
Yeah.
The dude was like so uncomfortable. You could tell trying to walk back with Bryce. Bryce wasn't giving.
It's like he didn't know who Bryce Mitchell was or something.
Dude,
it was
like right. You didn't. Yeah, right. You didn't know he was crazy like this. Come on. I didn't feel bad for any of them.
Did you see the video? I mean, there's some videos on Instagram that are like minute-long videos, obviously, right? And or even less.
What about him talking about the moon and gravity?
Gravity, yes. How he said. I'm just gonna give a few examples. So the thing that let's talk about that after. A few examples. So the one was, and I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit, but basically he says to someone that whole thing about gravity. That's. No, sorry, not gravity. That whole thing about the Earth being round or spherical, that's bullshit.
Flat earther.
Yeah, he's a flat earther, obviously. It's bullshit, and I can prove it. I made an experiment. I created an experiment, my own experiment. He said, when he said that, it's going to be beautiful, right?
It's going to be.
Someone tells you that the Earth is not spherical. It's a great start to conversation.
Right.
But to tell you that they can prove it with an experiment they created. That's you got to be with eyes and ears open.
I'm about to be made dumber from hearing what he did.
Let me tell you what made me dumber. So he says I can prove it to you. If you take a helicopter and you have it hover and he said crazy. He said, "Fuck, I want to remember the
Yeah, but whatever it
how
is,
many feet height, which is
it
like
doesn't
a
make
airplane
sense.
height. But anyway,
It doesn't make
he
sense.
says, let's say a helicopter hovers at, let's say, 500 feet height, and it stays there for 4 hours. He says when it lands, it'll land the exact same spot that it took off from. So I don't know how he created that experiment. I don't know if he, first of all, I don't know if he hired a helicopter just to prove that.
No, he didn't.
That's a ton of money for a 4-hour experiment on a helicopter. But anyway,
First of all, no, it depends. If the helicopter moves, if the helicopter stays static,
static. He said it's hovering over.
it will not land on the same spot.
Hear me out. So he says, I can prove to you that the Earth is flat. It'll land right on the same spot.
Is that all he gave?
That's it. That's what the clip cut. But then the second clip, he was with a lady. I think that might be his lady or something.
She was cute.
She's cute. She's very nice. She's very
So
good
then
looking.
that makes me think that she's kind of.
She must be, because she was like totally
She was like normal.
She was in the background normal there. And he's like,
He has a kid with
he's
her.
like, yeah, I know the whole thing about Isaac Newton and gravity. You know, that's bullshit. It's like, look at that. What are people that have gravity, you know, that support gravity theory? What are they gonna tell you?
And then he can
There's
make
a
them
banana. He grabs a banana and he drops it. What
He's
is
like,
this
whoa,
gravity?
whoa.
Is this gravity? So anyway, this same guy.
And she's in the background going.
And now,
"Ugh."
if you never seen that, I don't know who's watching, who's not right now. But if you've never seen who Bryce Mitchell is, let's say you're watching this 10 years from now, which is our dream, right? This is in the archives, and I know that these things are out of fashion by then. But hear me out. If you don't know who Bryce Mitchell is, very possible you won't know him, because he's not about to become a champ or anything, and you might not be into MMA. But
No, he's not going to be champ, probably.
yeah, if you, especially the way it's set up, no way Dana is going to set him up to become a champion either.
He'd have to go through a bunch of changes. And
Yeah.
I don't even think he was that good to begin with. He's
not-
okay.
yeah, even if he gets, I mean, Charles Oliveira was not a championship material, but he made himself become one.
Yeah,
but still, that's not what's gonna happen to Bryce Mitchell. Even if he becomes a championship material, he's not gonna get pushed there.
No.
But anyway, so this same guy, he's like, this is the guy we're talking about, right? He has he creates a podcast just like we do with someone else that I don't know who it is. And the very first episode, the inaugural episode,
It's called Arkansanity. Like Arkansas.
Arkansanity. Oh, he's from Arkansas?
I think so.
That might explain a few things.
Some kind of south.
Yeah, he's one of the 4 people of population of Arkansas.
He did get UFC, and I was impressed with this, to customize the shorts with the like the hunter print.
But I don't think they're against that. It's
No,
you
well,
can customize them however you want, as long as you represent the
They do customizations for special fights for special people.
Oh, they do?
Everyone doesn't get to have special stuff.
Oh, really?
Everyone gets the basic like kit,
yeah.
but like Alex Pereira got some
'Cause
special
who
ones.
did-
Max Holloway got some special ones. But Bryce Mitchell was one of the first. I don't think he was the first, but I remember he made a big deal out of it because I've been asking Hunter and them forever to do it, and they finally said I could do it.
I
And
ain't gonna
was-
get it no more.
Dude.
Not from Ari. What's his name? Anyway, he said
Ari Emanuel.
He said that he's paraphrasing again, but Hitler couldn't have been such a bad guy after all.
He said he would go fishing with him.
He would go fish. Yeah, he would go fishing.
Dude.
But the thing also is that he said he was a nice guy because he cared for his country. He was truly patriotic. And,
Oh my gosh.
And
He said Hitler was. He also said he was like Hitler was a good guy until he started using meth. Like the methamphetamine use is like kind of well known, but I'm like, what are you talking about?
when did Hitler start using meth?
Right. And he kept saying
That was
well,
during the war.
According to my research, I'm like, when you say crazy stuff like that,
And then you talk about research.
when you say really outlandish stuff, the onus, in my opinion, I think this makes sense. The onus is on you to cite where you're getting it
Yeah.
from. If I'm saying something normal, like a normal take, no one, it's not controversial. But when I say something crazy, aliens exist. You can't stop there.
Yeah.
Like the Q stuff, that was my big problem
And your
with the
research,
QAnon stuff.
your
They
research.
say crazy stuff, but then they don't. Oh, this is gonna happen, and then nothing. And then when it doesn't happen, it's like, well, it's still real because. And I'm like, that's crazy. That's crazy. But he never cited any of his stuff.
He won't.
Obviously,
I mean, the research he does
down,
is what we're talking in the beginning from the internet,
Dude.
from
even-
like-minded people.
I wonder about that, dude.
If there, but he gets those ideas somewhere. He knows that Hitler used math and all
Did
that
you hear
stuff.
about he was like, oh yeah, they burned books. They were burning books. You know what kind of books they were burning?
I didn't hear that.
Dude.
What kind of
He was
books were
saying
they
the
burning?
books they were burning were Jewish books that make people gay when you read them. It's not.
I heard something. I don't remember that it was about burning books, but I heard
And then
that
there was another thing.
There was something else.
There
about
was something else about making people gay.
the Jewish people, the Jewish that you become.
It was like
that you become.
It was pitifully ridiculous. It was
He
absurd.
killed Jewish people because it made you.
Something.
I
all
don't
that
know.
stuff kept running together. It was crazy.
It was amazing. He
It was
managed
so
to
ridiculous.
he managed to insult, and not just insult, but he managed to
Just-
ridicule himself on account of you. You can talk about Hitler and Jewish people, and insult pretty much the whole world, but especially Jewish people. But when you add the gay in that,
Right,
gay
and the
community.
the trans dude, he was just heaping stuff on. It was amazing. That's why because we texted, and I said something like, "I feel bad for him," like almost like feel pity because I'm like, I want. Now, in one sense, I do think to be that absurd with your beliefs, I think there's a willful ignorance.
Oh, it is a willful ignorance. I mean,
And that's why I kind of like I partly agreed with you because I was like I feel bad. You're like I have no sympathy for those type of people. I'm like I have little sympathy, but I still feel bad because there's something weird going on there.
but don't you think that all conspiracy theorists are willfully blissful? Because they're not.
I
They're
do.
not exactly.
I think so.
It's like you're not objective in your research, so to speak. Like I said, you're researching from like-minded individuals and sites, and and it makes your research very easy and very.
But it's like there's something missing there.
You're
for them to
researching with bias to begin with.
Right.
You're not researching like
because you don't want to know the real answer.
Here's how
you don't
science
want
works. Here's how science works. You get
RFK.
10 scientists, yeah, that kind of science. You get 10 scientists, let's say, and one of them comes up with a theory, and he has a proof for that theory, right? So and just to distinguish, a theory doesn't mean it's not being proven,
Right.
because a lot of people get that confusion in
A
their
theory
head
is
where
not like a
it's
fact.
just a theory. Theory of gravity is just it is a
Right.
fact. Okay, it's been proven to be a.
it's as factual as you can.
Yes,
get to
it's
it.
not. It is not. It's been proven in ways, scientific ways, and it's been the opposite of it has been disproven. So that's my point. When you get like 10 scientists, one of them comes up with something, the other, because there is a scientific society, right? The other 9 are there not to be jealous necessarily of the fact that he was the one who
to
came up,
make sure
but
it's-
to disprove his
Right.
theory in
Or
order to make sure that it is correct.
Or to what am I to not to copy it, but to do it again because of something that's proven.
Right.
It has to be repeatable.
It has to be repeatable. That's
So
my
they're
that's
like,
my point.
okay,
They want to. They're trying to disprove it in any possible manner in order to prove that it works. Because if one of them says, I actually have a proof that your theory doesn't work, and then it becomes a question of, oh yes, you're right. Well, we're not going to scrap it, but we got to
Right.
find out why
Right.
you found a way that it doesn't work.
Right.
So there is. It's kind of like in court, you're innocent until proven guilty, right? But it's in the other, like kind of technically, right? So technically, yes. So you are innocent until proven guilty. Same with the theory. It's not really a theory until it's been disproven in a bunch of
Or proven.
ways, or proven over and over again. And that's the thing with conspiracy theorists. those are not really theories. They're like
No.
those are suggestions. And when you do research on a conspiracy theory, what usually happens is you and I'll tell you how I know that. Usually, what happens is you the simple fact that you type in "did dinosaurs exist," you will find two camps of people: those that say, "Of course they did."
And those are like
and those
the
that are going to be
idiots
like
that are like,
the idiots that are
it
going to be
never
like,
happened.
of course they didn't. Prove to me that they exist. Show me one of them.
Right.
You know, show me a skeleton of a
Right.
this kind of stuff. That
Right.
if you asking me to show you a skeleton of a dinosaur, I think you're already
Right.
not to talk
Right.
to.
Right.
But the thing is that
You're
if
never
I
gonna
believe
be-
in that
you're never
conspiracy,
gonna be convinced.
Correct. But if I believe in or educated, if I believe in that conspiracy,
Right.
if I believe in that conspiracy, that's the kind of person that I'm going to ask because I'm biased towards that conspiracy, not because I want to find out what the truth is.
Right.
So when I did exactly that, one day, like a decade ago, I found out about the internet.
The power of the interwebs.
I was on the internet, and I'm like, that same day, I was talking to somebody who is religious, right? And that somebody said, I don't even think the dinosaurs necessarily existed because how did they find out that they existed? So I'm like, all right. So I kind of gave it a try, But when you talk to a religious person, there are two things you can talk about: religion and pretty much everything else around religion, right? And that was part of the reason that person didn't believe in the dinosaurs' existence prehistorically or historically is because of their religion. So it makes no sense for me to convince that person that, or scientifically or otherwise, with the limited knowledge that I have, although I could go on internet and find out a bunch of scientific facts to prove it, it makes no sense for me to go to you and tell you that, yes, look at all this proof, when your whole base of thinking is kind of like based on a belief. Your whole thinking is based on a belief rather
Right.
than
Right.
facts, right?
That's not helpful to them.
No. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm like, whatever. I tried the carbon dating. It turns out I was wrong actually because you don't prove dinosaurs' existence with carbon dating. Carbon dating is for organic material.
Right.
And
There's no organic material left.
No, exactly why you can't
That's
find
why
a
Jurassic
skeleton.
Park would never work.
Well, they were.
They came up
DNA
with some new
manufactured,
stuff,
yes,
but
yes.
it's still not gonna.
Yeah.
They won't come up with a real saber-tooth tiger.
No, they won't. But it was genetically manufactured. But like whatever the case is, it was. In any case, the thing is that there is no proof of the existence of dinosaurs, as in something you can touch. Fossils are not necessarily bones, right? Fossils are.
They've got physical stuff that.
There is. I don't think there is. There are fossils, right?
Yeah.
The way you date the fossils, it's called something else, and I just saw it the other day again, and I kind of forgot it. And the reason I saw it is because I couldn't remember what it's called, and I asked Albert to research what it's called in order to remember what it's called,
Yeah.
to remind myself what it's called. And and I forgot now that I'm talking about it.
You had Albert do it?
Yeah, he did it. He researched it, but the thing is that he told me what it's called. And I'm like, fuck yeah. But anyway, it's not carbon dating. Again, carbon dating is for organic material, but when you find a fossil, it's. If I remember what it's called, it'll give you the exact idea of how they do it. But they look at the surroundings of the fossil, right? And then they can tell because the Earth has
Right,
layers,
right.
Not the crust. I don't mean that, but I mean
They do it with ice too.
I mean, yes, the archaeology deals with that. There are layers of the earth. Geology actually deals with that, not archaeology. Geology deals with that, and you can see the layers of the earth, and you can tell how far ago, how long ago actually this layer existed within a few million years, and you can tell when this dinosaur lived, and then from there you can build, the scales. It's not that conclusive as to what dinosaurs look like, They have pretty good idea, but it's not conclusive.
When you go to the tar pits,
Yeah, those are not.
or the Smithsonian,
Yeah,
and they've got like.
I haven't been to the Smithsonian. I've been to the tar pits
See,
in La Brea.
I was under the impression that some of them, some of the pieces aren't real,
Preserved in the tar pits.
but some of those pieces are real. Like when you see like a dinosaur that they put back together, the bones and stuff. Some of that
when
stuff
I went
is
there,
real.
yeah, I don't know that it is. I know that I remember seeing.
And I'm maybe not at the tar pits because I don't know if they had like dinosaurs, but when you've seen like in the Smithsonian or whatever,
yeah,
like a stegosaur, like
I've
some of that
I know
stuff
what
is
you mean.
real because the dude they've had
Don't
on
think
Joe
so.
Rogan.
Yeah.
There was a guy that Joe Rogan had on there that is one of these people, and he's like, he's a
Paleontologist.
Right.
Yeah.
He looks crazy, but he was talking about people that are
Ross
like
Geller.
he looked like
you don't know who Ross Geller is. You know, watch
No.
Friends. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm proud to say that I never.
Yeah, well,
I've seen Friends,
it's
but I've
your-
never watched a full episode.
It's your loss.
I'm happy to be lost of that. But he was talking about people that say that that dinosaurs weren't real and that the bones are just all created. And he was like, no, some of them some.
So there were bones that were preserved.
Yes.
You think?
Yes.
Okay, I gotta do additional research.
But
on
I don't
that,
think I think there's no genetic material on those bones.
Right, I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think
Because I think, and this is, I'm starting to talk beyond what I've,
maybe you're correct. I don't know. I don't know.
like, what's the difference between a fossil and a bone?
The fossil is basically like amber, for example, where you find.
Oh, where stuff gets caught inside of
yeah,
it?
Yeah, so that gets caught inside of it, or that's just an example. But it could be like.
See, you know when they break open like the
a tar-
rocks and you see like
yes,
the
correct.
sea creatures?
That's what I mean. That's a fossil. Yes.
Okay.
That's a
Because
fossil.
that's not a bone.
No, it's not. That's a fossil. That's my
Right.
point. Yes. So you can't really tell because there is nothing there to be able to. But you can tell by the surroundings of where it is. What's happening?
Is this one of our guests?
Yeah, used to be. No more. I'm kidding.
We got people trying to come on in. We're getting big. We're getting bigger.
Bigger.
We got
Crashing the show right here.
one day we got to get.
Dude, you look like you just you just poured some shit outside.
Bunch of construction at the field, trying to get the bar ready.
Hey, is it open for the game?
Oh, we're trying to.
Okay.
trying
Because
to buy
I
this
told Pete if that goes down, I will leave straight from work and go over there just to
Yeah.
hang out.
I'm gonna be there every single day.
Wow.
All night, just working on it. So hopefully.
Proud of you, young man.
Yeah, hopefully on Friday so we get the UFC fights and Super Bowl.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Nice. Yeah, I mean,
This
Friday's a
UFC's
couple
got
days from
two
now.
good fights, but everyone else sucks.
Who's this?
It's Dricus and Sean.
Yeah.
And then Weili Zhang against Tabla Suarez, who's a wrestler.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that fight.
Whaley's fucking good at even
Weili is
wrestling.
gnarly.
She can
She
hold her own in wrestling. She's good. Remember how we thought that Shevchenko was a stand-up artist, and then she fucking.
Shevchenko is good on the ground, but I think she's mainly that's
She
her
is
weapons.
right, but I'm saying like
That's one of my girlfriends.
She was.
She's.
I don't like her,
gnarly.
man.
You don't like her?
Physically, no, not really.
Wait, you don't like her, or you don't think she's like hot?
I don't think she's hot. That's what.
Oh, I
yeah.
did. Well, I think she's.
Oh, I like her as a.
She's pretty, but she's
pretty, yeah, I
added
don't know about-
hotness
yeah, I don't know about
because
that.
of all her. She's like sponsored by gun companies.
Yeah, that kind of turns me off.
She's a fighter. She seems cool. She's kind of made hot
That
by
whole
the
thing
other
turns
stuff.
me off a little bit. A girl with a tattoo of a pistol.
It's not the coolest tattoo, but she kind of makes it cooler
And
because
your
she's
nickname
sponsored.
is Bullet.
She's sponsored by gun companies.
That's why she's sponsored, because she was kind of like into that kind of shit.
But she's really good with.
She is, yeah. I mean, whatever. So is Nikita, you know.
She's. People are like, oh, she's a spy. Like that even makes her hotter. Anyway, how did we get off of Bryce Mitchell?
We can get off this guy.
Because I wanted to. All right, because.
By conspiracies and all that stuff.
Okay.
Talking about conspiracies, yes.
So, with all that all the craziness, just the crazy madness that he said, you read. I sent it to you. You read the and you heard his little social media apology.
So, yeah, I wanted to ask you about, first of all, the apology was just what you would expect.
I
from
don't
an
even know if
apologist.
he wrote it. It was one of those things. His girl
I
probably wrote
listened
it.
to him talk, and I don't think he writes.
I don't think he wrote that.
I don't think he reads.
I don't think he wrote that. Because it was such a 180.
Bryce, I don't care if you're gonna come here and beat me up one day or now.
It was
But
almost
I'll
like
tell you, my man, you can beat me up all you want. You ain't gonna learn how to read and write. Dude. Anyway, that proves that CTE works also, as well as
he got
the education, the public education system in Arkansas.
That last knockout that he got was.
Sorry, Arkansas.
That definitely could have had
Sorry,
something
Derek
to do
Fisher.
with him.
Sorry, Bill Clinton.
Who hit him? The rest. Emmett. Josh Emmett.
Josh Emmett, yeah.
Remember, knocked him out. He was like out for like 2 minutes. And then when he woke up,
can be good.
Joe Rogan was commentating, going, "They need to grab him. He can't even stand up." And when he said that, I looked and he was like wobbling, and everyone was just like kind of like ignoring it. He was like, he's gonna fall down. They were trying to get him out of the ring. Joe Rogan was like, he's gonna fall out of the ring, and then people grabbed him and helped him down. He actually went on. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and it was kind of sweet because he was like, Joe Rogan, everyone else was going to let me fall down the steps, but because you said something, he like thanked Joe, and I was like, that was really sweet. I always thought he was okay. He kind of had weird views, but he seemed like he was sweet enough. Like he would do stuff like want to grab the mic after a win, and like
It's probably a nice guy.
pray.
I mean, he was
And
probably
I'm
as nice as Hitler was.
I'm
after
like,
all.
I'm all into the praying stuff.
Until meth.
But it's like you're not. He's like trying to bully a prayer on television time, a pay-per-view, and it's just like it was. I was like, you need to relax. Just be like, thank the Lord, But he was just.
He said something about Christian.
And you can't be real Christian talking craziness like that, dude.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
I think it could be if you're talking about the Jews.
Hell no.
Yeah, no. Hang on
no.
a second, Ian. There's Christians.
KKK represent themselves as Christians.
Exactly.
A lot of people
But-
can call themselves whatever. But that doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying? That's the one thing that's weird
You're
about
right.
labeling religious people because there's such a spectrum.
You said it. A lot of people call themselves whatever, and they call themselves. I firmly believe that they believe in Jesus and all that, especially in Jesus, because if they didn't believe in Jesus, they would be Christians who wouldn't have anything to do against Jewish people. He's the type of Christian who believes in the New Testament and not so much in the Old Testament, obviously, and all that stuff, because he just
but he's
doesn't
so
like.
wild.
Correct. I mean, you don't know what he believes exactly, right? I'm just saying.
You can take stuff in such different contexts.
I'm not trying to make a point about
'Cause he's
evil
obviously
Christians or
out of
non-evil
his
Christians.
mind.
I'm talking. Yeah, he's out of his mind. But there
I
are
don't
those.
think he's trying, and I don't think he's trying to hurt anybody either. But that was hurtful ass shit
hurt himself a
that
lot.
he said, dude.
Which hurt
It's
himself
so
a lot brings me to the
hurtful.
point. Look at those segues
And then
we're
did you
making
hear
today.
about the Connor at the same time this Bryce Mitchell thing happened? Connor was mad about Paul Hughes and Khabib.
Oh, and Khabib, yeah. Oh
and
my
was
God!
like,
And then he goes.
wording up the spot. And then because of that, Joaquin Buckley said something. He was like, dude, y'all are getting too comfortable, with the N-word. And then Marvin Vittori
he threw the
came
N-word
right
in.
back. And then Phil Rowe, another black dude, came right back. So I'm just like, dude, it's not out of control, but I'm just like, do you see how just a little bit of madness can just start to spread? Now, there's no telling, because Joaquin Buckley pretty much said, all right, Marvin, when I see you, it's on. Hopefully no craziness happens because that's a bad look on everybody, but I do understand where he's coming from.
That's to me it's weird
Because Connor's out of his mind, so he's just throwing stuff out there. I mean,
to me it's weird because fighters are, yes, it is an individual sport, but you have a team, and not only coaches, because the coaches could be all like white or Irish, same as you, right? Or they could be all like black in the case of Buckley, right? Or whatever. But so you could be from that perspective. Oh, of course he's a racist. His whole team is black, and then he's black, and of course he hates white people and all that stuff. So he can say whatever, right? But it's not like that. It's not an individual sport. You got a team, and part of that team is your sparring partners. you not belong, but you fight for a gym. You train at a gym
Right.
where your team is based, where you are based, and your team consists not only of those who train you, those coaches, but also your teammates, which means the other fighters, people that you spar, people that you're
Most guys are like this. Like a Colby Covington
top
isn't like that.
American top team. Yeah.
Most guys are like
Right,
this.
right. And it shows when you're on a good team, you kind of tend to win, right?
Sure. pact,
AKA
yes.
American top team. You know, like you got a bunch of fighters from all weight classes, all colors, all races, all nationalities. Nowadays, all
Extreme
nationalities.
Couture.
Yes,
I mean, the big teams.
they're in Vegas,
100%.
right?
Yep.
They're in Vegas. So you get all these teams, and they all have different. How do you do that? How do you just throw out the N-word and then go back to the gym the next day? And you look at those people in the eye.
Okay,
those
well,
same people that you spar
Conor
with and you
is
train
out of
with.
his mind, and he's the one that started this with the whole N-word. He did the same. It was at the same
What
time.
about Vittori after that and all that
Okay,
stuff?
Vittori, right? That's where I'm going. Vittori isn't part of any of these big gyms. He has a little team. He's from Italy. He's like foreign, so he's not in a big. He doesn't have a big team. He's probably the biggest person in his crew.
He's from Italy, right?
He's from Italy.
I just saw this meme. I mean, it wasn't a meme. It was like a funny thing. Of course, it's on Instagram. It could have been staged, but it was in Spain. It was an interview of a guy wearing a Lakers shirt on top of it. But anyway, it was an interview. The guy goes like, in Spanish, right? It's like, so do you think that here in Spain racism is like a big thing? And he goes like, no. You don't? No, not a big thing. Are you a racist? Well, yeah, I am. But
But it's not a big thing.
and now that I'm going to send you the video because I know you want to understand what he's saying, but
Yeah.
I'm going to send you the video now that you know, and just the way
Yeah.
he answered and he was that was
Yeah.
like cracked me up so much because it's
Yeah.
like it's not a big thing. I mean, I'm an exception though.
I'm an exception. All
So
casual.
Italy is like the same fucking thing.
Dude,
They're
like I have no. It was like I have to take Joaquin Buckley's side on this.
Southern Europe is like
Kind of crazy.
kind of crazy race. I mean, not crazy
I mean, 'cause
racist.
he didn't
I'm
have to
misspeaking.
he didn't have to say anything. Why did he? It was just like he took it as a challenge. It was like, okay, whatever. Da, 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 da. And I'm just like, dude, that you didn't have to do that. Like, why?
I
It
have,
was just.
I have a theory on a separate note, but I want to get back to
Bryce.
to Bryce after that. But on a separate note, I have a theory about why I've had it for a while. Why Southern Europe, and that includes Bulgaria, because we're in that region. Why Southern Europe is more racist towards black people than Northern Europe? Because in every country there is a certain amount of racism, right? And I know people will say, what about Germany, right? I mean, no, not. In fact, certain things in Germany are now straight out illegal. You know, things that are happening
Right.
here would be illegal there. And I'm not talking about the Nazi salute by Elon Musk. I'm talking about factions like KKK would be illegal. Nazi movement would be illegal.
They've got an extreme right wing.
Correct, yeah.
But they're censored. You can only go so far before people get mad.
There is a lot of there are certain things that
There's definitely like
You can't
Nazi
paint a
type people
swastika.
over there,
If you-
but you gotta hide your stuff.
here you can paint a swastika anywhere you want. I mean,
of
unless it's a
speech.
vandalism, you're not going
Right.
to jail.
Right, freedom of
Yeah,
speech.
freedom of speech, right? Unless
Which,
it's
is
vandalism.
a government thing. It has nothing to do with UFC.
So that was my
Dana White
okay.
trying to front.
There is a segue that I was going to talk about. So let's get there first, and then I'm going to tell you my theory about Southern Europe.
Actually, I want to hear that. I'm curious.
But Dana White,
Okay.
okay, you brought him up.
Okay.
Dana White,
'Cause this is a
right
good-
away.
this is a good point.
In fact, I found out about this whole Bryce Mitchell thing from Dana White because he was the one who came out and said. He said,
He
I've
tried
I've
to-
heard like a lot of dumb shit in my. He even mentioned Sean
It was-
Strickland,
it was during
which is
the-
hilarious.
It was during the Power Slap
Yeah.
post event thing.
Right. But this is
I
like,
think someone asked him.
yeah, someone asked him. He's like, this is
Like, did you hear
the dumbest thing ever. And they asked him, what are you going to do about Bryce Mitchell? And he said, well, here's the thing. Problem is that I believe in freedom of speech, so I can't take him off the roster and stuff like this. And I'm like,
That's a smokescreen.
and that's, okay, so
He's fired
when I,
fighters before.
he's firefighters for lesser things.
Right.
And hear me out. I'm not saying that he's a racist himself. I'm not implying that.
Oh.
Freedom of speech applies to a government
That's right.
It's
government versus the citizen.
It's citizen versus the government, really. I think.
Well, that's the
yeah,
relationship.
But
that
relationship
we're talking
between
about.
government and a citizen,
not
is
a
freedom.
company.
We have freedom of speech as citizens. We are protected by the Constitution against the government for freedom of speech. However, so in other words, Bryce Mitchell will not go to jail for saying something like this.
Right.
Whereas in Germany, he could have gone to jail for something like I have no idea. I don't know.
I think,
but
well, if you say Hitler, I want to,
Yeah.
I love Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
In the middle of town, they can
or
get you.
on his podcast, yes.
Oh,
so,
they would definitely get you.
Yes. So, and you could say that this is not freedom of speech, but Germany is trying to erase the past, and they're doing a pretty good damn
Yeah,
job.
they've got a.
Germany is doing
yeah.
a very much better job, mind you.
Yeah.
Mind you, much better job because of that, and because of shame. They're doing a
Right.
much better job than America has done with
slavery. 100%.
Much better job because slavery
100%.
has evolved into other things.
Right, jail mainly.
Throughout the yes, correct. So institutionalism essentially,
100%.
right? Whereas they decided we're going
They
to
gotta nip it at
root
the
this
bud.
shit out, and we're not going to talk about it. And if you talk about it,
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble. And
Because it's subversive.
yes, if you ever
There's
try
no
to,
good that comes from
if
it.
you ever try to tell a German guy a joke about that, they take it very.
They don't really
very,
play around with that. That's like saying bomb at the
serious.
airport.
Kind of, yeah.
They're going to get
It's a
you.
very sensitive thing. So the point here is that it's not Germany's problem with freedom of speech. It's a problem with that particular type of thing.
That event. Yeah.
Now, the
Dana White.
Dana White said, I can't do anything about it.
It's
We'll
like
see.
he's hiding behind
He's hiding
it.
behind the freedom of speech thing. He's like, I'm a big freedom of speech guy. So, but the thing is,
No, and I don't want him to. I wouldn't want Dana White to fire Bryce Mitchell for what he said. I want to make that clear. And also, I don't know what kind of punishment Dana White would do to him for saying that. I will say that too. But I just don't appreciate the. It was kind of like he tried to spin it a little bit.
kind of half-assed, even though he looked so disgusted in his own words.
I don't want Bryce Mitchell to be fired, but Dana White hiding behind that to say, "Oh, I'm not going to do anything because of this." When they did research, one of the sites that I watch, there was a UFC fighter that wrote something on Twitter or Instagram, and it said something to the effect of, "If you called rape van, surprise van, you would get more girls," or something like that. Something just totally like, why would you say that? That's not funny. It's not interesting. It's not clever, or it's not. But he said it. He wrote it, and was fired the next day. Like, you're not in the UFC anymore.
Well, the UFC is a private enterprise,
Right.
So they have the right to do it, just like the NBA and the NFL and the MLB and all major sports. And they have the right, because you're under contract with them, you work for them. I think that in boxing it's probably different because you have different promotions. Yeah, but if you're, so they can do whatever they want. They I'm sure they have clauses for like every company you work for. They have a clause where any kind of what do they call it?
Like ethical
or a misdemeanor in terms of
right. If you say some crazy shit,
that can cost you your job.
Yeah. The internet is known for that.
And I dare you,
people doing crazy stuff.
I dare anybody, and I dare you if you're against what we're saying, right? Although you don't want him to fire him, I got no problem with him being fired for that shit, because if I go out tomorrow, and I voice my opinion, my dumbass opinion about slavery, let's say, I'm getting fired, like my dumbass opinion about slavery in terms of we should never have freedom. Boom, I'm fired. I'm fired and I'm going to get blacklisted, because I can never give that place as a reference or anything like that. So simple, I'm not going to go to jail for saying that because of freedom of speech, but I am getting fired. So
you're getting fired if you say it in a manner where it makes enough people mad where they're going to take a picture and they're going to get it back to you. Stuff. It has to be to a point where people are so mad they get evidence and they give the information back.
If somebody hears you and complains, you're getting fired. Obviously, they'll investigate it, but you are getting fired.
They have to investigate it.
Well, they have to investigate it, but
proof.
they have to investigate it, but they will investigate it. There's no proof.
Because you could say anything.
There is
oh,
always
this dude,
there's
Ian
always
said
witnesses.
this craziness.
No. You say, of course.
Like I've seen it a million times
saying
where there's witnesses. That's what I'm saying. It has to be to the point where it crosses a threshold. If someone just goes out in the middle of the street, it's like, you know.
If I say something dumb on the podcast, something like this, controversial and dumbass, and somebody watches it, yeah.
Okay, that's different because they can go back.
Oh no, but that's exactly what Bryce Mitchell did, isn't it? That's exactly what he did. He had a podcast, except this is 21st episode or something, and that was his first. If we'd known that this was called so much attention, we could have started strong in the first episode, but we didn't know, right? We could have said some out.
I will say this: the stuff he said. You know, I'm not even going to say that.
Oh, do tell.
I was going to say there's a difference
fired.
between saying like, "F these people should be this, these people should die." There's a difference in that and saying Hitler was an okay guy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the one sounds a little more hateful than the other.
Right. I'm saying they're both horrible, but it's just like, and then I'm trying to compare what he was saying about the books and, you know, doing this, which, you know, I'm like, now I'm trying to measure weirdness. I'm just like, that's probably not worth it. It all sucks.
I don't know.
And you shouldn't say, my thing is, you shouldn't say stupid stuff like that. And if you do say it, I can't, even though personally I don't think Bryce Mitchell should be fired, whatever happens to him, I'm not going to argue with.
Well, Dana White said we could just hope and see that somebody beats him up in the cage.
That's lame to me. That's lame. That's copping out.
Yeah.
Well, this was a fight. I mean, you're right, whatever. And there have been a couple of guys.
Yeah, what are we going to get?
There's this one, like, Jewish dude.
I was going to say, what are you going to do? Like, put three Jewish fighters to fight him or something? Three Jewish guys,
Two people came out. One dude was whatever, but the other dude was, like, Jewish. Or somebody was like, hey, such and such fighter who's Jewish, you should handle him. And the dude was like, I'd love to fight him. And then somebody else came forward. But, I mean, you know, and Bryce Mitchell, he's mid-tier. What I don't want to happen is you know, what if he wins? Then it's like, oh, so what? Those views win? You know, it's kind of like, it's stupid when it's like you're sending people to beat them up.
There is a certain amount of people who are going to celebrate it. You know that.
And of course, just like with Elon Musk and the freaking dude.
People are justifying a lot of stuff right now that they wouldn't let fly 3 months ago.
100%.
Like people would say stuff right now.
The Marvin Vittori thing was crazy to me. I'm like, damn, he's just trying to be an asshole. And it's just like, yeah. I'm like, wow. And that didn't even reach the point where Dana White didn't say anything about that. I didn't even see that. Got a little bit of news in the stuff in the MMA sites that I watch, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
You know. And I guess I don't think it should be made that. I think it should be addressed because when it gets to the point where it's just casual, that's what they were saying. That's what Joaquin Butley and Phil Rowe were saying. It's like, oh, it's just getting casual now. Now it's just like whatever.
Yeah.
And you know, I get what they're talking about. You know.
Well, there are certain reasons why people are becoming more bold and open about
there are too.
Their personalities.
I think there are too.
And those reasons are becoming quite obvious these days.
Quite obvious.
But anyway, my theory on Southern Europe, because here's the thing. Northern Europe, namely Britain, France, or France is like the central kind of part of Europe, but still, northern part of Europe and Scandinavia has always been, since Viking times and towards now, they've always been relatively like more uninvolved in those kind of things, but they never had any. They were more tolerant, let's say, right? But the United Kingdom, Great Britain have had colonies, right? So they have a lot of black people living in there.
Yeah,
right?
they're freaking predators.
France has a lot of black people. Well, no, but regardless of what it is, the population of black people in France and in the UK is big. And while there is racism, there is also certain protections against that racism in terms of, you know, just like here, you know, there is like...
I mean, they're trying to get rid of that shit now, though.
I know. You know, that's why...
It's crazy.
It's open. Open
Dude.
season.
Dude.
Anyway, Italy, they had, in fact, Italy had colony in Africa, Ethiopia, but they just didn't have that kind of colonialism where Africans would go like and move to live in Italy. Italy is not populated by any kind of minority of black people. There are black people just like everywhere else. Like in Bulgaria, there's a black people. They're like merchants or students and stuff like this. But we don't have a native population of black people, right? Like France and the UK, the bigger colonizers. Netherlands, small country, lots of colonies around the world with black people in their
Are there a
uh,
lot of black people in the Netherlands?
from Suriname, especially from Dutch Indies.
I dated a girl in college from the Netherlands.
You did? But she wasn't black though.
She wasn't black.
No, probably not.
Can't remember her name.
It's kind of irrelevant.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah, she's not with you anymore. She'll never be with you
It's been a
again.
long time.
Yeah.
We're talking like 90 something. It's a long time ago.
Anyway, but those were the powers in terms of colonialism, and then Spain. But Spain did not invade. They didn't colonize any countries in Africa. They traded slaves, but they didn't really bring any of them to Spain. So in other words, it was never a case of native population of black people in Spain. Portugal has the same case. They traded slaves. They colonized Brazil, which has a lot of
Right.
huge black population because of a lot of slaves there. They colonized Mozambique, Angola, African countries, but they never, for some reason, they never brought any people back to Portugal.
Portugal's just a little skinny
So,
thing too.
so is Netherlands is even smaller. Netherlands is even smaller. By the way, Netherlands and Spain used to be kind of in cahoots at one time or another. They were one kingdom. But anyway, and so that's a big reason why there's just no, I mean, not that there is a good reason to be racist and all that, but there is you see someone who doesn't belong there and then they look different on top of it. And it's like,
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying all the way down.
Not only you're not from Italy,
Yeah.
but you're a different fucking color.
What's the percentage? Like, I know the percentage of, like, say, blacks to whites here. Do you know what the percentage is in, like, say, England or the
No,
UK?
I don't
And
know.
France?
I don't know. I know that
Is it substantially larger? Because
than here? No.
it's around the same. So we're talking like 13%?
No, I think it's smaller. A lot of black people in the UK are born there, but probably half of them were immigrants from the Indies,
Okay.
from the West Indies and stuff like this. Whereas black people here are not immigrants for the most part. They are born here, right? Because of slavery.
It gets harder to be racist
because
too.
the slavery was here.
Right.
Not in
Right.
slavery. The slaves that the United Kingdom and France had were not in the United Kingdom or France.
Right.
They were outside the countries, right?
Right.
So the slaves that the United Kingdom had were here in the United States,
Right.
in America, right?
Right.
So then America becomes independent. The slaves not so much, and then but basically, but to me it's like crazy to even think about how, have you ever stopped? I know it's your roots, so you must have, but if you ever stop and think about slavery, you're thinking about it's a couple of hundred years of like
Madness,
like madness because you own something.
Dude.
But I'm like
Hundreds of
but I'm
years,
like
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean since the 16 until it's 200 years, 200 plus,
Yeah.
but not more than that, like official. And again,
16
after that
to
it's
like 18.
16 something to 18, so
Right.
1640 till 18, yeah, whatever. No, 1660 I think till 1860s.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, so 200 years. Think about how long is a generation from when you were born until you have kids. On average, you're about 25 or so when you have
Yeah.
kids, and back then you were even younger.
Yeah.
Think about it, because
Yeah.
back then, especially in slavery, born in slavery, but even not that, even among white people at the time, even people that were better
Kids
off.
are like valuable.
Yeah,
And
because
laws are it wasn't is a different time.
yeah, so you could be a young white girl. You're gonna get married to a,
Like
at a young
14,
14, yeah,
15.
13, even 14, yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine with black slaves who did not have really any kind of. On the contrary, their slave masters had an incentive for them to multiply,
Of
right, to
course.
reproduce.
And also
So
slaves that's like
so
a mortgage.
So yeah, exactly.
So if you get like you're getting free ones.
Right. Free ones, exactly. That's what it is.
Dude.
So think about it. When we say 2 generations ago, we mean about 50 years ago, because one generation is about 25 years from like nowadays, like from when you were born to when you have your own kid, and then your kid has their own kid. There's 50 years, 2 generations, right? But back then, like we said, with slaves, they must have reproduced at a higher rate, which means that that a generation there could be about 2 generations could be about 25 years. If they were 13, 14 years old getting pregnant, easily 30 years is 2 generations.
I
Don't you
wonder
think?
now that I'm thinking. I think if I don't see a 13-year-old getting married, a 13-year-old slave,
No, not married, having a kid. Because the girls,
unless they're having a kid unless they're getting raped by
the slave owner?
Right. I don't see them having kids amongst each other.
how do you think, where do you think they had kids then? Who do you think made those kids? It's not like we have a bunch of
I just
mixed
think it would
kids,
be. I think
mixed
it would
race
be
kids.
older. Like the Israelites, they were all together, like on the move. But over those generations, they had a huge multiplication thing because there wasn't anything constraining them. I'm just wondering.
I don't know what the
I
age
don't know.
of.
I mean, I'm curious.
There surely was no age of consent, but I don't know what the age of the average age of giving birth was.
Because
But I
why
will
are they-
research, and I'll bring that up the next
Yeah,
episode,
that's interesting,
because that's
because I'm
interesting.
like,
But
I don't see
call it
them-
whatever you want. Call it 20 years per generation. 20-year-old girl gets pregnant, and then her daughter is also 20-year-old when she gets pregnant. That's 2 generations in 40 years, right? One generation is 20 years. We're talking about 10 generations of black people born and born into slavery, and probably 8 of those generations died in slavery. We're talking
Yeah.
about people born, worked, died in slavery. I'm talking about dying of natural causes. I'm not talking about dying, because they tried to escape or something, right? So, born and dead,
There's videos on
8
YouTube
to 10 generations.
of a couple that were slaves, and they're recording them, and it's crazy.
What do you mean?
It's an old couple that were slaves being interviewed.
How old were they? Oh, they must
They
have been
were
kids or
super
something
old.
when they interviewed them.
They were super old, and they just looked, dude. They looked. I'll try to find it. And
Dude,
I'll send it to you.
I've seen a video of
It's
a
interesting.
black man in the 1930s.
Because if they were a kid in like 60,
the film was made in the
1860 something.
1930s. Yes, correct. So he was born in slavery, and it was 1930s. So he must have been. He wasn't even that. He was pretty old, which means that he must have been a teen, because in 1930, if you were 80 years old, you were born in 1850, which means you were 15 years old when the Civil War ended. That means you were a teen during slavery,
Right.
Which means you clearly remember shit.
And it's not like slavery stopped when it was
No,
supposed to.
but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
Now the thing also is that you could have been.
Life was still shitty for a good amount
You could
of
have
time.
been a black person born in 1850 and never been a slave also, because you may have been from the north.
Yeah.
From New York
but
or something.
You weren't safe because they would jam you
But
up.
that's not the point. The point is the slavery part of it, right?
Yeah.
The point is that, correct, if you cross the border, you might get, taken.
Well, even free dudes, they could just
Not cross the border, but
they
cross
could
state.
get you and be like, "What are your papers?" "Oh, I got some credit card. I got some stuff. See, I'm free." Nah, you
Not
ain't free.
anymore.
You ain't free. You ain't
For
free.
sale.
Coming with me.
For sale.
That's
That-
like a house. That's a mortgage.
That's-
All you got to, and no one likes them and no one trusts them. Dude, it was treacherous back
Right.
then.
But
It was
but there are
crazy.
there are you're right, there are films of
it was amazing hearing people talk
yeah.
about it. And dude, the master
This is
would
what,
do this.
20, 30 years from now,
Bro.
our kids are going to say about Holocaust survivors. Because I've seen footage from the 1980s, 1990s, of even the 2000s. People, of course, everyone has. If you're watching this today, you'll know that you probably have seen footage of Holocaust survivors.
Yeah, 100%.
In fact, I'm sure there are still Holocaust survivors.
There's
Kids probably, for sure.
There's definitely some left over.
For sure. So it's to us this is quite normal. Just like probably if there was film and stuff in the 1910s, 20s, it would have been normal to come across some of those. Just maybe
Bryce
not
Mitchell
that many.
talking about the Holocaust didn't happen. I'm like, Hitler existed in.
Then you went crazy from
So
meth.
what? So, it's like, where does It's such a filtered. So the Holocaust didn't happen, but Hitler existed. And right when he was on meth, what was the bad stuff he did? What was the bad stuff he did? It's kind of like Make America Great Again. When was it great?
He attacked Stalingrad. It's
You know what I'm saying?
What in between?
Right. What was so bad then? When he was all methed out, what was he doing that was bad? Bryce.
It's like, what else? What else?
I'm like, come
And then
on,
he
man.
goes on talking about Jewish people. Like, I don't know. You
Right.
know something is up there.
Like, come on.
You know something
I did
is
my
up there.
research. Oh, you got your research in. He kept talking about the public school system. And it was weird because I didn't know if he was
It's weird
really
because
talking to his
he sounds
buddy,
like a
or was
product
he
of a very
talking
bad
to-
school system.
Dude. But I will say he's the exception. Like, he's really bad. I don't think there's groups like even like the white supremacists, even those dudes that were like the dudes that were emboldened by.
I think that white supremacists
They're not
actually,
as bad as him.
No,
he's a bad version of them.
No, he's a more illiterate version of them. But
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a worse version of them. But
He's probably not the worst because
they're open.
He's kind of harmless.
Correct. They're not harmless.
Yeah,
but
they're
the
creeping.
point is that they
Yeah.
did not deny the. I don't think they deny the Holocaust. They actually celebrate it.
Well, I think I think the generic white supremacist does know the Holocaust exists, but think of Mel Gibson is a Holocaust denier, and so is his dad. I'm like, the Holocaust denier is a weird kind of that type of person. It's like there's so much proof. It's almost like, to me, what I think it is. I think it's like a troll. It's a psychological troll type thing. It's like, what's the worst thing that I can do is believe and say and celebrate that the worst thing didn't happen.
What if that's the case though? What kind of person are you? Like Alex Jones, when didn't
right, dude? Yeah,
spreading a conspiracy theory about Sandy Hook.
Yes, 100%.
What if he?
And I knew people. I had a buddy at that time. This was like shocking to me. I had a good friend.
I think you told me that
I worked with at the time that happened. We would talk all the time. His name was Cameron. Smart dude. We were friends. He believed that. We started talking about it one day because when the Sandy Hook thing happened, it came up in our conversation. It was just the two of us, and he was talking about. He's like, "Yeah, that didn't happen."
If you don't know what that is, it's Sandy Hook shooting, Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut. Was it? Connecticut, I think.
I think so.
2012 December. School shooting
at elementary school.
Elementary school, plenty of kids dead.
Like
some
20-something.
20-something and staff. Maybe
my
5 or
God,
6
like little
staff
babies.
died. Yes.
It was, oh my God.
And
I remember the day it happened.
when that happened, later on, this talk show host, Alex Jones.
He's just, they slam dunked him just here recently.
Yeah, $50 million I think he paid. He was.
I think it was way more than that.
I think that's what he ended up settling for.
His whole company, and they're breaking it up.
Infowars.
Infowars.
Yes.
The Onion tried to buy it. The news site that does
the funny,
They tried to buy. I don't know if they were successful in it because he fought back against them buying it, but he's ruined.
He's ruined and
he's
fucking.
Ruined.
I hope he stays fucking ruined.
Dude, he needs
this
to.
motherfucker
He went too far.
This motherfucker should go to jail and get fucking off there, you know.
Dude, he did the worst stuff, and he mobilized people against those parents.
I knocked the table. Let me make sure. Yes.
Ran the parents out of the area. Some parents had to leave.
Yeah.
That was like what I was saying earlier about when you say something that's super crazy, the onus is on you to prove it. You can't say these parents were crisis actors and their kids that were real people weren't dead. If you say something like that, you have to show proof. These are real people. These kids have birth certificates. It's not their job to prove you wrong. You're the one saying crazy stuff. But Alex Jones is such a con artist and is so charismatic as Adolf Hitler was, and can just get a certain type of person
and other people
whipped up and believing it. And when you have that, it's like the evil. It's evil magic, because they ran these people out of town. These parents had lost a kid. Now they got to worry about all kinds of stuff.
What's shocking? I mean, it's not shocking to me, but what is really impressing me is the cult of personality that exists in the human. Let's close out on this one. The cult of personality is what it's called. It's basically how Hitler came to power. He got elected. You know, he got elected because he became popular among.
And they were
in a starving country,
right? They were hurt.
His whole thing was, we'll make Germany great again, as in before the war, before World War I. We're talking about here, right? When World War I ended,
they got their ass kicked.
Yeah, by France, Great Britain, and Russia. Now Russia did not participate much in the reparations and stuff, because they had their revolution 1 year before the war ended. So Russia was not that involved in that war actually, but as in, you know, World War II obviously. But I think the part of Western Europe that was England and France, and the United Kingdom and France. So what happened was, they put like heavy reparations and sanctions on Germany after the war. That ruined the country. That country was already
Did they just finished paying that, like,
I don't
within
know,
the past 15 years? They beat
I really
them
don't
up.
know.
They had them on the
well,
credit
there's interest
for, I'm talking for years.
Yeah, it's like a century. So
they beat them up.
And not only that, but after that,
there
was World War II after
right,
that too.
Dude,
right, so that must have been added on. But the thing is that Hitler comes in power because of the whole thing that we're getting like stepped on right now. Yes, we fought a war, whether we were right or not. We don't deserve all that punishment we're given, you know, and all that stuff.
Yep.
So essentially they got their ass kicked in the war. So to add insult to injury, they got like strict fines and reparations to pay. So Hitler ran on this. That combined with the recession, the Great Depression, you know, in that period of time, and gave Hitler a perfect excuse to mobilize the country into becoming great again. And the best way to create jobs is to industrialize military complex, you know, like military, like he started building roads because he needed roads for vehicles and tanks.
They invented the Volkswagen.
And the Volkswagen was a people's car, Volkswagen.
And that's helping people. People are like, "Oh, life is good again. Oh, cars on the
people,
road.
People had jobs.
This is exciting.
People had jobs and stuff.
We can go out and eat again."
By the way, the Schindler's List. Have you seen the movie?
Yes. Oh my God.
If you haven't seen the movie, I recommend it. Schindler's List with Liam Neeson. Won Oscars in the 1990s.
It's so intense.
The thing about this movie is that Oscar Schindler was a German industrialist. He had a factory for manufacturing, I can't remember what.
It's a great soundtrack too.
Yes, correct. He had a factory that was involved with the military machine, right? The thing is that when that was a time when the ethnic cleansing of the Jewish people started, or was going on at least, not just started. And he had workers in the factory who were Jewish, a lot of them, not most of them, I think. and he got the order from the Germans from the military to surrender them. Essentially, they I don't know, load them up and just surrender them so they can send them to concentration camps. And he actually bribed officials to keep them in the factory so they can work. So he saved, I don't know how many Jews, but the bottom line is that because it's based on a true story, those people that he saved, that got saved, because some of them died anyway, but those that got saved moved on to live in Israel. And there was, do you know I remember the end of the movie where
I remember very
they had
little.
a huge gathering in the 1990s when the movie was made.
Oh, of
they had
the
a
generations?
huge gathering of the generations of.
That's so sweet.
He saved probably about, I don't know, I don't want to pull a number out of my ass,
Yeah.
but say 20 or 30 Jews, right?
See, that doesn't seem like that much.
No, but that was in 1945, 1944, 45,
There
whatever.
was probably hundreds of people.
Now you look at every one of them have one or two kids, and then they
Yeah.
have another two kids.
Yeah.
We're talking about 3 generations later, or
Yeah.
2 generations later, they had some grandkids, great grandkids in there, and they were gathered on his grave, right? So those were things that, you know, the military machine was built on prejudice against those who you didn't agree with. You know, you want to make Germany great again, let's build it, let's make it great again, and all that stuff. And so Jewish people took the fall because they were, for some reason, not
It's
compatible
easy to
with.
mobilize people when you have someone to blame.
Correct. There was
that victim. It's their fault.
It's their fault for everything. Yeah.
Let's get together. They're different than us.
They're stealing
That's
our
a
jobs.
That's a powerful thing.
Stealing our
Dude,
jobs, right?
right. That's a powerful thing.
Yeah, and so, and not only that, they not only took Jewish people and just kidnapped them and put them in concentration camps, they actually seized their properties, and including their riches. And you know that a lot of Jewish people have businesses. It's not like if they work they work probably for other Jewish people, but they have their tight community and they have businesses. Those businesses were seized.
Yeah.
And who do you think that enriched? You know,
The Nazis stole a whole
exactly
bunch of art, bunch of everything, whatever they could
Yes.
get their hands on.
There is so much gold. There was so much gold. I don't know. Maybe still is in Switzerland in banks. Nazi gold. You know, because Switzerland was independent and still is. Germans did not go through there. Like Robin Williams used to say, "Oh, the Swiss, the good Germans."
Yeah.
The good Germans, right? So anyway,
I'm not trying to.
yeah, they are the good Germans, right? So they
They make good watches.
they make good watches.
well.
Yeah, they make good watches. They have a great army. At least their knife is amazing. You know,
They
the Swiss
do
Army
have-
knife. They have army.
Aren't the popes guards?
Yes, they're
They wear
Swiss.
the weird-
Swiss. They're called.
They wear this like it's all
Yeah,
different
yeah, yeah, I
colors.
forgot what it's
like
called.
Joseph, it's
Yeah.
like
It's been
yeah. They
it's
have
been
these
like that
long
forever.
staves.
Yeah, yeah.
All of them are like super like
Good luck.
6'5".
Good luck against the eye in the sky.
Some drone shit. Be like,
You know what that
"Oh,
reminds me of? Those NRA idiots that go out there with their fucking guns and like they'll get together and they're like, yeah, I'm not letting government take my guns away, and they all gather in the same spot and boom.
Gotcha.
I got you, motherfucker.
Got 'em. FBI is mad now.
Too bad your M16s are ruined.
All right.
Yeah, and that's how Hitler got there. The cult of personality to Stalin, which was forced.
And he was super charismatic.
Correct.
He had a gift.
Instilling fear and stuff like this
Yeah.
into those people that you need to, and being charismatic to those that you need for support.
And I think, and he was mad too. He really believed all that stuff. At the end of World War I, the war had they like signed all the stuff that the war's over, but he was still in the trenches, and there was some mustard gas, and he got scarred.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
just remember that was like, you want to talk about a villain's arc. He was like defeated, but he was like, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them. I promise.
What the
He was all scarred up, and he Went
The
really hard.
fact that he went to jail in the 1920s and he went there for causing for gatherings and stuff like this.
Yeah.
He went to jail and he wrote Mein Kampf in jail.
Right.
It's crazy. There was this video Albert was telling me about this. This kid asked his grandpa for a Minecraft game, and grandpa bought him a copy of Mein Kampf. Grandpa, what the fuck?
Funny. Minecraft. That's pretty funny.
And you have anything else to say about the cult of personality? Because I have.
I'm gonna hear it.
I just want to say that nowadays we have a new cult of personality going on around. And
100%.
It's more than anything else. It's very
crazy.
It's crazy. And if you're watching this 10 years from now, I hope I'm
It
not
just
right.
started.
But it's starting, and it's starting in a very
It's either gonna
familiar
go
fashion.
hard and get in 10 years. Either people are gonna be so shocked, and this is what I think is gonna happen. It's already like the whole thing with Gaza, what he was talking about.
Yesterday, just the other day, man.
That was so bad. People are going, what? And I don't think it's gonna, if people allow this to continue.
Well, Saudi Arabia an hour later said, no, we're not making deals with Israel if there is no Palestinian state. And who is going to give them a Palestinian state outside of Gaza?
That
Who?
looks so horrible.
Nobody. Right.
So you're just gonna, dude, you can't.
Well, the idea is for them to go to a nice sunny place. That's literally Donald Trump's words. It's not my words. Nice. We'll send them. We'll send them to a
Jordan
nice
or Egypt.
Jordan or Egypt. Nice sunny place. We're gonna take over Gaza.
2 million
We'll rebuild it. Make it the
people?
Riviera of the Middle East. Which, by the way,
Dude, he hates immigration over here, and he's trying to pawn it off on these other people, these other countries.
well, it's not like they're gonna take American jobs. And
2 million people, you're just gonna, dude, that's
well,
crazy.
it's not. It was 2 million. Now it's 1,000,007,000,008. He said it
right,
himself.
right. It's
And the fucking that
Dude.
motherfucker next to him was just sitting there and smirking, finding it funny when he was saying that. This to me was like
The
incredible
speaker?
to see. No,
because I saw that when-
Netanyahu.
Oh my God! Listen to this real quick. Did you hear? Oh my God! They said Netanyahu gifted Donald Trump with a golden lighter.
I didn't hear that.
Remember that crazy operation the Mossad did? All the lighters of the people in Hamas exploded. It's like 3,000, not lighters. I'm sorry, pagers.
Pagers, yes.
Exploded. That's what
That
I
was
thought.
Hezbollah, not Hamas.
Hezbollah, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Dude, I'm
He
like,
gifted him a what? A golden pager or a lighter?
oh, you know what?
You kind of made up
I
that
did
story.
You see how the devil works?
The fucking conspiracy. Thank God it's like 2 people watching us because the conspiracies are gonna fucking take off. Did you hear about the lighters? They took the lighters and then he gifted him a lighter.
I hope I'm
And
not
then
giving anybody
what is
any
Donald
ideas.
Trump gonna do with it? Is it gonna explode in the Oval Office?
You know, one thing I did hear that's kind of serious, but whatever. Do you hear Donald Trump? He said, he was like, "Oh, I gave my people instructions. If they assassinate me, we're gonna flatten them."
Yeah, to Iran, about Iran.
I heard this
We're
report.
gonna obliterate them.
He was like, he said that was poor judgment. Because
Everything is poor judgment.
I know. He was
Come
like, what
on.
that does is that's going to enable or embolden a third party to be like, okay, let's
Exactly.
do this.
Exactly. Even
And then
attempt. Just attempt it.
Just attempt it so they can get attacked.
And let me explain to you who is gonna win from that situation. The guy sitting next to him, the guy that was sitting next to him the other day.
Right.
And who is capable of pulling something off? Not necessarily kill Donald Trump, but
Oh, that would be crazy.
make it look like.
Dude,
the
Mossad is...
I mean, who else is gonna do something like that just to start some shit? This was unbelievable.
You didn't hear it here first.
It's not like I'm gonna go and fucking plant the bomb or something. You know who's the one with the pager?
We don't want any CIA sponsors.
Can you imagine Secret Service carrying
Right.
pagers?
Oh, they all blow up. The golden lighter.
The golden lighter, bro.
I was right.
Mr. President.
Secret Service, don't come. Yeah, look. Look.
It's like they run some cross checks and stuff online, and what are those words like you know.
Oh, man.
What's it called? Those words, you know, that they can cross reference words and stuff, and they're
The
like
algorithm?
the algorithm cross references words, lighter, bone, Mossad, boom, bam, Iran, 4 cauliflower ears.
A dude that I used to
He
work
wasn't
for
us.
had the Secret Service holler at him.
For real?
Yeah.
What do you mean? They arrested
If
him?
the dude, I used to work with this guy, George Shen. He was this Chinese dude. And I would go, I've been all over like the world doing stuff for him. He was like an entrepreneur, and he told me a story. He was talking to a guy, or he was emailing with a guy, and he said it was taken out of context. I'm sure this dude isn't like some assassin or anything like that. But the stuff that he was talking about, they caught it, and they called him up. They're like, "Hey, we need to talk to you. We know where you are." And he said he was like, "Okay, well, you know, you can come by." And he met with the dude, and he said, I mean, they came in. It was two Secret Service agents, and they talked to him for like 5 minutes. They asked, you know, why were you talking about this? And he explained it, and they're like, "Okay, cool." I was like, wow. I've heard that they would do that, but it's crazy when someone's like, that shit happened to me.
Yeah,
this dude's sitting all over the world, so I can see
they do investigate because they cross-reference
Jeff
shit.
Monson, I heard, got in trouble. You know Jeff Monson?
Yeah.
He's like a big communist. He said something, and I heard him say that he's a really smart dude, apparently. Compared to how he looks. He looks crazy.
Yeah.
But the Secret Service had to holler at him.
Well, then
he's all into that shit.
The FBI used to do that during the John Edgar Hoover times with whoever they wanted, really.
Yeah, well, they abused their power back then.
Yeah. Under the pretenses of communism, now we have the Patriot Act, which could easily
It's the same
trigger.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think they've done all kinds of crazy shit with that. Under the guise of that.
When the George W. Bush administration proposed the Patriot Act, and he got, that was right after 9/11, which made a lot of sense back then.
Kinda.
No, I stand corrected. It made a lot of sense to be proposed and passed at the time. It doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it, because it's like infringement of everything.
They did this documentary on it. The Patriot Act is really small. It's like they did a documentary, and it was called however many words are in the Patriot Act. It was like called 47 words.
You know why? You know why it's small? There's not enough room for interpretation when it's like that.
It's just like you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
When they voted for it, there was one person in Congress or whatever. It was this black lady. She was like, "Have y'all read this? This is crazy." And to go on for in perpetuity, like it's just going to go on for. What's going to happen is it's going to go on forever.
Patriot Act is basically
you can listen to anybody, whatever you want. You can do whatever.
as long as you're labeled. As long as they're labeled national security threat,
you can do
terrorist,
whatever.
and all that stuff. That's why Donald Trump labeled the cartels terrorists. And now, when you catch them, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
I mean, yeah, they can call me terrorist if they want to get me.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
that's crazy.
So if you're a cartel member right now, and they catch you, because you're labeled as terrorists, you can be treated under the Patriot Act, and basically. You got
sent to Guantanamo.
You got very few rights. You got very few rights.
Yeah, yeah, you're in trouble.
And if that's
with the cartel, I really
with the
don't
cartel,
mind that.
Of course. But we can be. But that brings up another question. How do you where do you draw the line?
That's the problem.
Where do you
that
draw
one
the line?
black lady. She was like, "This is crazy.
That's the thing,
this
right?
is too much."
And
her
there is
career,
no line with the
They
Patriot
ruined
Act.
her career because of it.
The
vote went everyone and her. She was like, "No," and she never. They were like, "Get out of politics." They ran her out, and
history will always prove things like this to be.
Dude, you don't know how to deal with that much power. That's why the whole thing with Donald Trump trying to do
That's
just
why
give me
you
all
have.
the power.
That's why you have Constitution. That's why you have the Constitution.
Bro, you can't handle that much power.
There
and now
are-
you're like, we're just going to take Gaza and. At first, it was like Gulf of America. It was kind of stupid and funny.
Yeah.
Like, can you just lower the price of my eggs? All this extra stuff is crazy. Now you're trying to take over Gaza? That's like a 20-year project? Can we lower my eggs? What are you talking about?
The 20-year project is profitable it's not only, it's profitable in the meantime because...
It's so not feasible though.
I mean, we're not talking about sending Americans to live there, but
that makes it look even shittier on our part.
Right.
Or we're just going to take over a place, turn it into a fucking whorehouse,
they're not taking it
and then
over.
offer it to the world. It's like, what?
No, I don't think that's the idea.
People live there. Those are people's houses. That's people's land.
I understood
There's
the
babies
idea
that got murdered
differently.
You know what I'm saying?
I understood it.
The Trump thing?
The Trump thing, I understood it differently. It's not for America to settle. For America.
No, we're not going to go over there.
Right.
We're going to take it over.
Rebuild it. Take it over to rebuild it.
And then sell it to somebody.
Sell it to somebody.
No, he said we're going to own it.
We're going to own it, but
yeah, like
when you own it, you lease it.
He called it the Riviera.
When you own it, you lease it. You know who they're going to lease it to?
Probably the
Israel.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
It is. Because Israel...
And that makes them look bad. That makes them complicit in the... That's like ethnic cleansing type
It is
stuff.
ethnic cleansing. That's exactly what it is. That's my point. It's
and
like...
Netanyahu, it does not... he's like a son of a bitch. The people over there are way cooler, obviously.
No, we're not talking about the Israeli people. We're talking about...
He is
the Israeli government currently.
I don't think he was always like that. I think he's just getting worse.
Yeah, it's always been right.
I think he's trying to keep something going because once the war is over, he's got to go to court.
Well, here's the thing. How the war ends is a big question. His cabinet had some opposition to the hostage deal. Let's finish on this one because we gotta go. His cabinet had opposition within the cabinet. There was opposition. He actually fired one of the guys.
Benny Gantz, I think.
Yes. So anyway, correct.
Which is so suspect.
So he has opposition in his own government against this deal for the hostages. The deal is 3 phases, I think. They release hostages, Israeli hostages, and I should say Jewish because there's American hostages there and so on. So the Hamas releases Jewish hostages, and Israel releases Palestinian hostages. Well, Israel releases them in the hundreds.
In the hundreds, been a bunch.
Yeah. So the deal is working for both sides, sort of, but there is a ceasefire in the meantime. So there's no more destruction while this is happening.
I mean, there's nothing left to destroy. But,
but
thank God for the ceasefire.
Correct. But the thing also is that it's 3-phase deal. So which means that they release X amount of hostages in the first phase, then they will discuss the beginnings of the second phase and release more hostages, etc. So the cabinet, because it's happening in phases, second phase could get canceled at any time. And it's up to Israel, really, because Israel has the weapons, right? So if Israel says, no, fuck it, we don't want the second phase of the deal, and they start bombing again, that's going to be because of the Israeli government, right? Now, Netanyahu, whether Netanyahu wants it or not, he needs to appease his government as well, his ministers, right? So he has to do something about it. The best case scenario for Netanyahu is the war does end on a happy note with all the hostages released, whoever is alive.
He has to look as best
and
as
he has to look great in that deal.
There's a bunch of people mad at him.
There is a lot of
I don't know how close it is. I don't know if it's 50-50 or what,
But who is going to take him to a criminal court in Hague? Who, if not the United States?
No, I don't think it's not for war crimes. The court that he's going to go to,
many civilian deaths.
It's court. It's like corruption.
Oh, because of the
for something, but it's like his own government. He's got to face stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know how inevitable that is. I do think just because the way politics is, I think you're 100% right. I think if everything is good and everything looks good for him at the end, he still might have to go to court, but he might get off, or he might court enough people to his favor. But that would be a shame. I don't wish bad on anybody, but I mean, dude, there's so many people. There should have been a ceasefire so long ago. I kind of blame Biden and the administration for that as well.
Yeah, the previous administration.
They should have done something. And I think that's one of the reasons why they kind of got their lunch handed to them against the dude that won.
Yeah, but the dude that won ran on certain things that, you know.
Yeah, but he can say anything. People are going to believe him, and then he does something totally different.
That's the problem, and people are still justifying, you know, like.
Yeah, people are so invested.
People are invested, and that's what I'm talking about when I say cult of personality, because people believe him as a person rather than judge him on his deeds, you know, and his previous deeds. People are saying, well, he's a much better candidate than the other ones. He's a much better as a politician because he shoots straight. He's not a fucking politician. That's why he's a con artist.
Right.
You know, he's a con artist, and he's a businessman, successful or unsuccessful. He's a businessman. You know, if he's a successful businessman with a bunch of bankruptcies behind him, those bankruptcies are ways for a clean slate.
Right.
It's not because, you know. If he's an unsuccessful businessman, then he's an unsuccessful businessman.
I don't understand the whole business. People are like, "Oh, he's a businessman. That's why he'd be a good president."
He's always talking
business
dealing.
Business is about getting profit.
He sounds like someone
the government is not getting profit.
He's always talking about deals. That's like a dealing and willing, you know, type of
that
con
is
artist
not,
thing, you know, like.
Right. That is not. And I think it has so much power because low information voters, like everybody, mostly, can understand that.
Well, there is low information voters, and there is voters who get their information from where they're biased to, you know. And if I am to, I actually listen to Fox News and watch Fox News too, you know.
Well, Zach De La Rocha told us you got to know your enemy.
It's not that I just want to see what the
other side.
Do I turn it off? I do. But I
can't even watch,
try. Yeah,
I can't watch like MSNBC either.
Yeah, but I try. You don't want to watch biased news and stuff like this. And people say, "Oh, mainstream media is so biased." No, social media is biased because social media.
There's no constraint.
Social media is the algorithms are, and it's not for that reason. The algorithms are mainly oriented towards your personal preferences based on where. If you scroll down Instagram or Facebook, the posts that not only you like, but if you stay there a certain amount of time, you will get a post from that same person, even if you don't follow them later on. So, and if you're listening to, let's say, certain things like conspiracy theories, for example, your algorithm is going to be all conspiracy theories, right? And it has nothing to do with the fact that they want you to become a conspiracy theorist. No, that's how algorithm works. Because in case you want to buy a duffel bag and go in the mountains and live there because, the end of the world is coming, they need to sell you one. Amazon needs to know when to push what duffel bag to you, you know? So anyway, that's all for today.
That's all for today.
Good talk, man. As usual. New lighting, I hope it works out fine.
I like it.
I've had it for like a year, but I never thought, yeah, bro. But
I like it.
I'm trying to work with minimum effort.
Dude, this is a marathon, not a race.
Yeah, this is a marathon, not a race.
Yeah.
Like I said, my segues are getting better. I'm
got set up early.
The job that I'm about to get, I'll pull you in because we're gonna make a great team as usual.
I need to make some money. Get monetized.
With a salary.
We need to get sponsors.
You know what? If we ever get a fucking TV show or something or cable, whatever.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, but imagine we get a TV show, you and I, and I'm there and I put, they put all the fucking, they do the makeup and all that shit, make your beard a little less gray and like, my
a little less straggly.
Yeah, and we sit over there and we're like as authentic as they come, and we throw the F-bomb, and all that kind of stuff. But then you see me pulling up to the first episode with my little tripod and my phone. And they're like, what is this?
We gotta keep it OG.
Hey, just in case we get canceled, I want my footage.
Right. Exactly.
And then it's like, oh yeah, that episode that never aired on YouTube.
Dude, it'd be like
a million
director's
views.
cut.
Yes, director's cut. Million views. Boom. Monetization at its finest.
Go viral.
Yeah, viral. We're making money either way, baby.
Dude.
With an Android.
100,000 a month. We're
working towards millions, but you
one step at a time, man.
You can fly low. I'm
you'll fly high.
Shooting for the stars. All right, enough shooting for today. All right, join us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. Please comment because it's very important. To kick that.
Tell us how handsome
kickstart that algorithm. We're talking about. You can. What you can do. You can scroll a few times. You can watch our episode like in parts. Fuck it, you don't even have to watch it. Just click on it, watch 1 or 2
Comment
minutes.
to be our next
Comment
guest.
and then and if you want to be a guest, please. We, as you can
Yeah.
tell, we got shortage right now for some reason.
We'd love to have
You know why we have shortage? Because I remember about calling somebody like on Tuesday and we film on
I
Wednesday,
know. I think about it. I'm just like, man.
and it's like,
Yeah. We're gonna work on that.
yeah. In the summer, it's kind of easier, you know.
We're
I
gonna start
think.
scheduling people be like on this day.
You know, the only
just to get
person,
people
the only
ready.
person that we scheduled was Dr. Dan, and that's because he's a doctor, and he's like,
know.
guys, I would love to, but I can't make it until. Let me look at my calendar,
We
and
need
we're
to
like,
have him back.
we're like a calendar.
I know.
He's
so
like,
organized.
I'll be there on December 18th, and I'm like, what is that? He's like, it's a Wednesday, right? I'm like, oh yeah,
He's so good. We gotta have him back. We need to have Ross on here.
yeah. Ross he's past REM right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's sleeping big
Yeah.
time. But anyway, I gotta be up early tomorrow.
Me too.
So anyway, that's it for us. Like, subscribe, comment,
We'll see you
please.
next time.
We'll see you
Love
next
ya.
time. Love you. And then the outro.
That's how you officially.
Ian, what's going on, man?
My alarm's about to go off.
Your alarm? Should I get out of here? Cause you know, Mercedes, cops,
hope
black guy. Oh!
I'm great.
All right. Well, you tell that to these guys over here. Oh!
Breaking into cars.
All right, man. I'll see you.
the buddy film we're doing.
Yep, the buttons. All right, I'll see you. I'm gonna blur out your license plate.
Do that. All right, bro.
All right, I'll see you.